Cybercrime is an ongoing and growing concern, and so is finding appropriate insurance coverage to mitigate the cost of an attack. Today, tech giants Apple and Cisco Systems announced they're teaming up with insurers to offer discounts on coverage for businesses that use their equipment and technology. The arrangement will also offer technical support in the event of an attack. Serge Solsky is a principal at AdviseAware Risk Consulting. He advises on cyber risks and how to determine what insurance coverage a business might need. So you look at this deal, what are they trying to address in making a tie-up like this?
A little bit cynical here. It feels like buy our stuff, and our stuff is better than the other guy's stuff, which I think is probably a bad approach because it does put a target on your back for the cyber criminals who are maybe trying to prove a point here. I think the other thing is, from a philosophical standpoint, it perpetuates the myth that this is a technology-only problem, and it's not. It's a people and technology issue. And I think more companies who need to realize that, that's really how you're going to take on this challenge.
Put the cynicism aside for a second. Sure. Have you been able to sort of figure out how this would work were it to sort of proceed?
Well, my understanding is they do, the part I think is the most interesting, they do a pre-assessment. So they work with another organization, I believe Aon, that does I believe it's a self-assessment. So you have to answer a series of questions that are more related to cyber risk, and they do an assessment based on that, and that is a big part of the discount that might get applied.
If this is marketing, try to get people to buy their stuff, what exists in this sort of market now, in this corner of the market, in terms of doing what these guys say they can do better? Like, are there many options right now?
Well, right now, there have been some programs where there's been a marriage of risk management practices ahead of time to a discount to say someone does an assessment of your organization, comes back to the insurance, kind of like the idea of when you go for health insurance and the nurse takes your blood and your blood pressure and says, yes, this person fits in here. But it's been very loose. The idea of connecting it to technology, I'm not sure. I don't believe there's anything as formal as that.
Right. But like, I mean, are they saying, so long as this was simply a technology problem, we can fix it for you? Because as you say, the technology and the human side of this are so intricately intertwined, there's no way you could pull those two apart.
Yes, I think that's, it seems to me like when I looked at the self-assessment, some of the questions they asked, they touch a little bit about people training. Right. But it does center around, it does make it technology-centric.
But are we getting, like, does this signal to us that there is an enormous cybersecurity insurance market that's about to open up and that Apple and Cisco are just trying to get out in front of it?
That's possible. This has been sort of an ongoing question mark in the insurance industry for the better part of 5 years. There is this huge opportunity. You have this tremendous business risk that impacts every single business, and yet they cannot get penetration into that market to any significant market share.
And I guess, you know, what I struggled with, and I've tried to read through this so many times to try to understand what happens in the event of an attack. What does the insurance pay out to who? How, like, is it, because I didn't lose money, I lost my data. And do we put a sort of dollar figure on that? How does that part of all of this work?
That's where it gets tricky, because there are some fundamental things that you can quantify. Things like credit reporting, privacy breaches. But what if you're in the business of losing money and someone steals $50,000 or asks you for $50,000 or $500,000 to bring your systems back online? There are policies in place for that. They're specific to paying extortion and ransom and recovering some of that. But where it gets tricky is you're an intellectual property firm and your R&D gets stolen. How do you monetize that? How do you value that?
Like, I think there are some very clear instances of it, but there's a lot that's unknown here. And what does that tell us about why it's Apple and Cisco rather than a traditional insurer that's stepping in with as big a splash as this?
I believe it's just the opportunity. They see an opportunity. I know that I've had the opportunity to work with the insurance industry on this, and they're continually trying to wrap their heads around it. I think probably Apple and Cisco saw as an opportunity to partner with them to enable that. A couple big names in there as well. Again, it seems very self-serving to me from an outsider looking in.
But even if it is, and let's assume that it is for a second, does it not put a ton of onus on all the other technology companies to find their own partnerships to try to come up with something that challenges this?
That will very much be the case. And again, what I have a problem with is that people are going to think, I buy this magic box and it'll take care of it. And it doesn't. And I'm interested about the liability aspect of it. So if I have these technologies in place, and my companies are successfully hacked, hey, you said your product was better than the other guy, and I still got hacked. So how does that going to shake out?
I've got 10 seconds left. What's the first thing a company should do? If they're looking at this saying, wow, that's a great solution for us, I can just hire this box and be done with it, they should what? Just make sure they're talking to their employees about passwords and not clicking on stupid phishing emails and stuff like that?
I'm biased, yes. People, train your people, make them aware of this, of what to look for. That's the door in.
Right. All right, we got to leave it there. Thanks for this. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Sarah Solsky is a principal at Advise Aware Risk Consulting.